Testing, testing. Got it.
Test, test, test.
All right.
Can we just make sure that we're actually live?
That's why I asked them.
Ready?
All right. The January 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chairwoman Barnhart.
Here.
Chairwoman Barnhart is present. Mr. Baines. Mr. Baines is present. Mr. Blankley. Mr. Blankley is present. Mr. Brew. Mr. Brew is present. Mr. Chardy is excused. Mr. Long. Mr. Long is present. Mr. McCabe. Mr. McCabe is present. Mr. Udelson. Mr. Udelson is present.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There is not. Oh, Legislator Morris.
The first meeting a Democrat has chaired in decades.
Legislator Morris is present. My apologies.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the October 24th, 2023 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Mr. Clerk.
Referral 24-0005, enact a local law to amend local law number 7 of 2020 entitled enacting a local law authorizing a lease by negotiation with Federal Express Corporation for real property at the Greater Rochester International Airport.
Moved by Legislator Baines and seconded by Legislator McCabe. Is there any discussion? Legislator Brew.
Assumption was, is it expanding its local?
Through the chair, Andy Moore, Director of Aviation for the airport. The answer is yes. FedEx has expressed an interest over the last year for a possible expansion. Right now, they have roughly 2 areas where they can park Boeing 767s. Those are the planes that they fly in and out of the airport. They're looking at potentially adding another parking location, which would go into this space quite nicely. And then they're also looking for additional areas that they can put their cargo containers and ground support equipment.
As a follow-up question to the chair of the administration, would this increase the amount of landings per day by Federal Express, or would they remain the same as I believe they are with it's just one?
Through the chair, it certainly would open up the opportunities for additional aircrafts to depart and arrive at Rochester. Yes.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 24-0034, enact a local law amending the airline airport use and lease agreements with American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Federal Express Corporation, JetBlue Airways Corporation, Southwest Airlines, and United Airlines for space at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport.
Moved by Legislator Baines and seconded by Legislator McCabe and Majority Leader Udelson. Is there any discussion? Legislator Brew.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to administration, this is not a question. This is more of an accolade for Mr. Moore, our airport director. Sitting on the airport authority for the last 2 years. I have a front row seat to the fine job he does over at the airport. One of which is negotiating leases with what they would consider to be the legacy carriers, which is what we see in front of us right here. So I'd like to just make the statement publicly that Mr. Moore is doing an excellent job over there, and thank you for negotiating these lease agreements, which in the end always prove to be a better deal for Monroe County. So thank you, Mr. Moore.
Is there any other discussion? Legislator McCabe.
Yep. Through the chair to the administration, is this all of the commercial airlines that fly in? Is there anybody else that's not covered under this agreement?
Through the chair, this handles 6 signatory airlines, and you have to also account that FedEx is a part of this agreement too. So actually 5 commercial service airlines and then a cargo carrier. There are 3 airlines that operate out of Rochester that are not a part of this agreement. They are non-signatory airlines such as Spirit, Avello, and Allegiant.
Thank you.
Legislator Baines.
Mike, legislator, please use the mic.
Could you share what comparable airports you use as a metric? And how we're doing relative to our revenue against those comparables?
Through the chair, comparable size airports. Well, first, let me start. The Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport is classified as a small hub airport according to the FAA. Similar sized airports would be Albany, would be Syracuse, not Buffalo. Buffalo is twice the size of Rochester. Other airports, Savannah would be a comparable size airport. Colorado Springs, and then Bill and Hillary Clinton Airport, and Knoxville Airport, Knoxville, Tennessee. And I'm just drawing a blank on another one that I take a look at closely. When it comes to these types of agreements, we do have a little bit of assistance with a national consultant who is very experienced in helping negotiate these types of arrangements with the airlines. Sometimes they can be very tricky. As you know, it becomes kind of a negotiation, and I hate to use the term kind of a car sale, but it really is in some ways. And they have a good grasp of what's going on in the industry, which helps. I do not have with me right now what the other negotiated agreements would be with the other airports that I just mentioned as far as revenues to those airports and the internal conversation of those. So I really don't have a good answer for the tail part of your question.
Thank you. That would be a hard thing for you to have on the top of your head through the chairwoman to you. Yeah, so this, I'm curious about the, because I'm very interested in negotiations generally because of my life. So I'm interested in sharing, if you could share more about the group or person who assists us in negotiating. As somebody that we retain or pay a fee to, or how does that person secured to do that work for us?
Sure, that person is an individual who is contracted through the airport authority, and they are an aviation attorney out of Boston. They're very familiar with FAA regulations, guidelines, rules when it comes to these types of negotiations, because it is under the FAA purview as far as what you can or cannot do in these types of agreements. And they do have clients all over the country from non-hub airports, such as a Watertown or an Ogdensburg or Plattsburgh, to the large hub airports like LAX. And so we're kind of right in the middle of that, and very experienced, has been working with the airport authority for quite a while.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there other items to come before this committee? All right, there being no other matters, the January 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee stands adjourned, and the next meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee is on Monday, February 26th, 2024 at 5 p.m.